In fact, this is the one area where I know, and having investigated a little bit and having a little bit more information, I know that she actually did not speak to Azad at all on this. That's one.
So she misled Niira when she said she would?
She led Niira Radia on, which is appropriate journalistic behavior in my case. As I see it, she wanted to get more information out of Niira about who else she was wanting to get to try and influence the decision, which, as both Manu and Sanjay are saying, is a story she could have reported.
Okay, so when
I think she's done well in stringing Niira on to get more information on what's happening.
So just to clarify, when you say she led Niira on, you're actually accepting that she deliberately misled Niira into believing that she would talk to Azad but didn't.
Which is what you do with a source, because you have to play the source along to make sure that you get extract the maximum mileage out of that source.
Except that in this instance, some people may think that she was lying. Is lying also an acceptable way of stringing a source along?
You know, I think that she could well have wanted to at least make an effort to try, but the fact is, did it happen? No, it did not happen.
All right. Manu Joseph, finally, in agreeing to act as go-betweens or lobbyists, one thing does emerge or seem clear, that both Veer and Barkha were using the access and influence which their professions give them or which their employers give them for purposes for which that influence wasn't originally intended. As you view it, is that acceptable or is that a misuse?
Well, that's a gross misuse of journalistic access. But see, there's a large issue here. Now, how do we know, just coming back to the point that you were trying to make, how do we know whether those calls were made or were not made? Can you just elaborate on that? I mean, I'm not clear how you can be
basically so what he's asking is, how do you know she didn't ring Azad? How can you be certain that she didn't ring Azad?
Well, the information that I have is that she didn't actually manage to get through to Azad.
Forgive me. And so she tried.
The second, no.
If you say she didn't manage to get through, that suggests she tried.
She could well have tried. As I said, I'm not defending.
So then hang on a second. Then that also suggests that she intended to fulfill it. She intended to be a go-between, but failed because she couldn't get through.
Or she didn't try too hard because it was beyond her call of duty.
Not trying too hard is a bit of detail. If you try once, it's trying. You're saying that she tried but failed to get through.
You know, I think that as far as Barkha is concerned in this, if one.
No, but answer my question. Did Barkha tell you this, that she tried and didn't get through?
No.
Then how do you know?
No. I checked myself to figure out whether in the Congress party.
Who did you check with? Did you ask Azad?
No, I have checked whether a call actually happened and whether.
But how can you check? Did you have access to the telephone records? Forgive me, I don't mean to be rude, but I'm just trying to clarify.
No, Karan, in every business, especially in the journalism business which I have been, you tend to know how to check these things out without necessarily having to reveal who you spoke to.
All right, for the purposes of this discussion, I'll take your word for it, but I think I will note that you have raised a question of doubt that remains lingering in the air. Sanjay Baru, how damaged are the reputations today of Veer Sanghvi and Barkha Dutt? And if it emerges, although I should add there is absolutely no proof of this at the moment, that they agreed to be go-betweens not just as a favor for Niira Radia, but in return for some recompense of payment, then how much worse would the situation be for the two of them?
Well, on the second question, Karan, I don't want to presume what may or may not have happened. But on your first question about the reputation, let me say that both have a very strong track record of very high professional reputation. They are very distinguished journalists. Now, in this particular case, they come out looking very, compromised. And I think as a professional, one would expect them to explain what exactly was happening on those 2 or 3 days.
Absolutely.
I wish they'd come on this show and explain their position. But they have a lifetime of professional credibility behind them, against which you have to look at this one instance of professional misconduct.
Okay, let me bring in Ram on that. Ram, how damaged is the HT and NDTV because two iconic journalists have behaved inappropriately?
Yes, I'm very disappointed with this, and particularly the response point that Sanjay made, that they've not come out with any kind of credible explanation. I don't buy this thing about stringing your source along, news gathering and so on. Nor is there anything to show that there was any corrupt transaction. No. It's just that It was bad judgment, it was bad practice, and one thing I know, Karan, this wouldn't be tolerated in the BBC or the New York Times or the Financial Times.
Okay,
your career would be over once that happens.
I'll take that as a hint, even though you haven't said it up front, that if it wouldn't be tolerated by the BBC or the Financial Times, and I presume you include the Hindu, although you haven't named it, you're also suggesting it shouldn't be tolerated by the Hindustan Times and NDTV. We're going to take a break at that point and come back and look at other aspects of the Niira Radia tapes. Are there some people to whom, in fact, an injustice has been done, and today are they owed an apology? That's in a moment's time. See you after the break. Welcome back to The Last Word. We're talking about the Niira Radia tape disclosures. Manu Joseph, let's come to some of the other people whose conversations have been published. First, M.K. Venu. Now, all he's doing in the conversation published by Outlook is to gossip and make snide comments about other journalists. Was it fair to publish that, particularly as part of a cover story which claims that it's revealing how politicians, corporates, lobbyists, bureaucrats and journalists ganged up to get A. Raja into Manmohan Singh's cabinet? Yes. In that conversation, Venu is not doing any of that.
Yes. See, that is the editorial decision of Outlook magazine. There is a distinction between the Open magazine story and the Outlook magazine story.
So don't tell me about the distinction. Tell me, in your opinion, has Outlook been unfair to Venu?
We wouldn't have done that. I think it's unfair.
All right. Sanjay Baru, let's come to another example where possibly unfairness has been committed. I refer to the Tarun Das transcript, once again published by Outlook magazine. Here the highlight is a deal involving 5 acres of land at a massive concession. But in a letter that Tarun Das has sent to Vinod Mehta dated the 24th of November, he points out that this land was for a non-profit NGO run by his son, which helps train underprivileged people in sports. Should Vinod have made an effort to check that out, and should he have published without checking out?
No, absolutely. I think it was very irresponsible of Outlook to have, first of all, put M.K. Venu and Tarun Das's photographs on the cover along with the others. The others are more culpable. These two are not culpable. These are private conversations. A lot of us say funny things on telephone with friends. You know, that has no relevance to the overall story of Raja and the 2G scam.
Okay. And Ram, given what you've just heard about Tarun Das and M.K. Venu, do you think Outlook owes them an apology?
Certainly not, because from what you say, they come out quite well. In the second case, I'm not sure. The first case, nothing wrong. So it's not the job of somebody who publishes to scrutinize every word. Let them answer. And if they nothing wrong with what they did, they come out clean. What's the problem?
Except for the fact that privacy has been breached in conversations that they may have preferred to keep private have now been splashed all over the pages of a magazine.
Yeah, because it's all in the game, Karan. If you get mixed up in these things, it's going to come out.
All right.
When somebody taps your phone.
It's all in the game. If you get mixed up, when someone taps your phone, it's going to come out. I'm not sure if everyone would buy that explanation, but let me move Dilip Cherian to the Ratan Tata Niira Radia conversations. Now, she works for him. They're bound to have had several conversations, and in the one that Outlook has printed, all that, in fact, you see Ratan Tata doing is being critical of Maran. Was it fair to publish that?
I think that, this whole relationship in terms of how Ratan is dealing with her reveals a lot of faith and use of the Radia machine, as it were, for everything that Ratan is seeking to get and putting out. The word in the street is that, there could even be calls to the Prime Minister's office today to try and stop any further investigation into this. So what you're
when
saying,
you say there could be calls to the PM's office, are you suggesting made by Ratan Tata?
I'm just saying that obviously the businessmen who are going to be exposed as a result of this will also have to go beyond into politics once again. That's the point I'm making.
So you're saying that the publication of the Ratan Tata conversation is justified? Is justified, absolutely. Manu Joseph, let's broaden this a little. There are some people who say that the M.K. Venu, Tarun Das and Ratan Tata conversations is a form of shock and awe journalism, trying to create a sensation by seemingly dramatic exposures which actually amount to nothing but do end up compromising reputations.
I wouldn't say it entirely. I mean, it amounts to nothing actually, because if you read some of those telephone conversations, now they do give you a unique perspective into how the country is run. Now, these are telephone conversations that take place, and readers are usually not aware of these kind of conversations.
So there is a higher, greater purpose.
I think there is a journalistic value in such conversation.
Very quickly, Sanjay Baru, we don't have much time left. Let's broaden this discussion yet one level further. Is this just the tip of an iceberg, or is this just one-off? Which is it? Is there a bigger, deeper rot? A quick answer.
Karan, it's the tip of an iceberg. If you think of Indian media as a whole, it's not just English language media in Delhi. You look at what's happening in Indian journalism across the country, the link between politics, business, and all these various active power brokers is an insidious link, and I think this is really the tip of an iceberg. Indian journalism needs a cleansing process.
All right. This is the tip of an iceberg. Indian journalism needs a cleansing process. My thanks to all my guests for joining us on this rather sad, sorry subject. I'm afraid I don't think that's going to be the last word on this sorry episode. If you have been, thanks for watching. Goodbye, good night.